All right. It is the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and kick off today's webinar, Leveraging Tools and Resources for Growth. This is a really exciting webinar that we've been working on for a while to provide our members with the tools and resources that are within PFB's network. I am Ryan Burkett, the Director of Communications at People for Bikes, and I get the honor today of introducing our subject matter experts who are going to be providing the content for today's webinar. Those experts are Miss Mimi Alt. Mimi is our membership manager and a part of the membership team. She's going to be walking everybody through People for Bikes overarching goals and vision, just setting up today's conversation with what is a trade association and getting us all level set on the same page. And then she's going to pass it over to Liam Donahue, who is all things numbers. Liam is our senior research manager, going to be walking you through some of our really robust data tools. And then after Liam, he's going to pass it over to Miss Dr. Ash Lovell, who is our VP of Government Relations. Ash has a absolute deep bench of knowledge for all things trade and tariffs, all things e-bikes, all things, I could go on, but she'll get to it to really walk us through what that all means. Today's agenda looks a little bit like this. We're currently walking through our introduction, and then I'm going to pass it over to Mimi, who's going to finish out the introduction. We're going to go over to Liam for the understanding the market. Ash will walk us through the navigating policy and trade, and then the product and sustainability excellence. And then I will come back on camera to bring it all together and to answer your Q&As. A quick note on Q&As, if you look at the bottom of the Zoom tab, there is a specific Q&A tab. I would encourage you to put your questions there as they come to mind throughout today's presentation. Some people drop their questions in the chat, and that makes it a little bit harder for us to get to them. But if you drop your question in the Q&A, we'll for sure have time to answer it at the end of this presentation. So please put your questions there. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mimi.
Thanks, Ryan. Like Ryan said, my name is Mimi Alt. I am our membership manager here at People for Bikes. I would love for you all to consider me your gatekeeper or concierge to all things People for Bikes, whether it's coalition, membership, or even just foundation work to start with. Some of you may be a part of a current member company that has supported People for Bikes for many years, so thank you if that's the case. And some of you may be newer members or absolutely brand new to our work. So first and foremost, welcome and thank you for being here and engaged in our work. Alrighty. So our vision, sorry, if you don't mind just going back one more. Our vision here at People for Bikes is to make the US the best place in the world to ride a bike. So simply put, we cannot make strides nor achieve this mission without the support and input from individuals like you and brands like yours. We work towards this mission through various pillars in our work and objectives, and today we'll review these and what they mean for each and every one of you. Next slide. So you might be wondering what a trade association is. So we're really going to start at the top. People for Bikes is the sole trade association for the US, meaning US manufacturers, suppliers, and distributors of all bicycle products, including electric bicycles. We represent more than 300 members that produce goods in every segment of the bicycle market, from high-end competition bicycles to affordable kids' bikes. So in layman's terms, we represent you and your company's best interests. We are guided by a board of directors, which is made up of industry leaders and executives, as well as about 10 committees and working groups internally that help us determine and steer our policy work on behalf of our members. These committees are also made up of industry leaders and employee representatives like you guys from our member companies. For example, we have our Electric Bicycle Committee, our Research and Stats Committee, and our Advancing Industry Belonging Committee. If you have any questions or interest about joining one of these working groups or committees, please contact me and I can put you in the right spot. Next slide, please. All right, so now we will get into the many resources that People for Bikes membership provides to each and every one of you, whether you sit on a sales team, marketing, product development, compliance, quality assurance, policy, etc. Please consider our Member Center your performance toolkit in your roles and day-to-day business. If you're employed by an existing member organization, you have access to all of our member center resources today. If you are not, please contact me if you're interested in joining. Um, High level, these are just some of the resources you can expect to see and engage with in our member center. And now I will hand it off to Liam Donahue, our senior manager of research and stats, to get into some of the specifics.
Thank you, Mimi. So first off, these three words are pretty short, but obviously not easy. So understanding the market is not an easy thing. But as Mimi just said, my name is Liam Donahue, and as your senior research manager, my entire job here at People for Bikes is really to make it as easy as possible to provide you, the members, with quick, actionable, understandable, digestible data and market intelligence so that you can make better business decisions. So I'm really, because there is a wealth of data and information that we have, I'm really just going to scratch the surface today. But it really all starts with the Business Intelligence Hub, Ryan. I actually just counted this morning because I had never had a count and was curious. We actually have 41 different metrics coming from 13 different data sources, all housed here within the Business Intelligence Hub. So there is a lot of information, but we don't want to necessarily overwhelm you. And so we house them in these five category buckets up at the top. So retail sales, we have near real-time e-commerce and in-store sales compared year over year using data that we get from Workstand, formerly Smart Detailing. We have Google Trends data that shows the correlation between searches for buy bike or buy bicycle with bike unit sales. We have bicycle import data from the US International Trade Commission. That's just in the one column of retail sales. Moving over to direct to consumer sales, we have the first of its kind qualitative insight into what is a billion-dollar plus channel of the industry. We just launched this back at BLC in March of this year. We're super excited about it. It was a question that we got over and over again. How big is the market? How much is it changing? How many bikes that are sold direct are e-bikes, etc. We get those questions all the time, and we, since March, are very excited to be able to answer a lot of them and point folks to our Business Intelligence Hub. Used bike sales. So we launched this last year at the 2024 BLC. It's been super interesting to see how the pricing and the discounting and the supply woes that have been going on at retail have been kind of pushing down and affecting peer-to-peer markets that we are monitoring here, like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist. We also have ridership trends. So every 2 months, we get an update with weekly numbers from EcoCounter, and they gather data from ride counters across the country. They allow us to then they show us the changes in the volume of bike riding going on in 6 different regions of America, as well as with a breakdown between recreational versus kind of the transportation or utilitarian riding. And then lastly, but not least, just added a couple of months ago is the consumer sentiment data. We added this, it's got consumer sentiment from the University of Michigan, consumer spending, unemployment, bike units and bike dollar sales. We put all of that together, we index it together so that you're able to go in and compare and contrast how, for example, bike dollar sales track over time compared to inflation, something we talk about all of the time. And so we really look at this with these screenshots you see here from a Google Data Studio. We view this as really the one-stop shop. The Business Intelligence Hub is where we hope that you would come back every other week, every month. We update it regularly with either weekly or monthly data, depending on the source. And it's something that grew out of the pandemic and has really grown into a very important piece of what we provide to allow you some of those actionable insights, Ryan. Speaking of every month, we also hope that in the bottom right here, you see this sell-through report. That is a snapshot from an email that we send out every month. Definitely get on this email if you aren't already. Mimi can help you out. But this is one of the key touch points that I, as the data nerd here, have with all of you. Not only do you get a notification, awesome, Maria, very excited to hear that. You hopefully are not the only one. And I know you aren't actually because I get asked about it if we don't necessarily have it, right when everyone wants it, which is yesterday. But not only do you get this notification of the fact that the data are available and the dashboard is ready, but in that email, we also layer on a bunch of data analysis. So text, data visualizations, you get analysis from me, from the People for Bikes team, from the Nerd Collective, from the Research and Statistics Subcommittee, who helps inform just about everything I do. All of that combines into kind of a snapshot of what's going on in the market right now this month. Uh, we're focused obviously on the market intelligence, but without riders, there is no market. And so up at the top here, what you see are these two big participation surveys that we do. First is our very own every 2 years. It's the one on the left. We put out a survey where we ask 18,000 Americans, give or take, all sorts of things about their riding and riding habits. We have historical trends, so we haven't changed the methodology of that survey in over a decade. So we're able to get ridership, demographics, psychographics, as well as rides and ride frequency from dating back more than 10 years. You've probably seen us quote these sorts of numbers in the media and elsewhere. How many millions of Americans rode a bike last year? And I'm sure everyone on this call would be able to quote that it was 112 million Americans last year. The other one that we put out is every year, and that's in conjunction with the Physical Activities Council. It's a group of 8 of the major governing bodies in U.S. sports. So we're able to pool our resources and money and produce a joint study every year that looks at some of the similar questions, but we're able to really see a yearly as well kind of historical data going back for I think since 2017. So you do the math at how many years that is. And so hopefully I haven't overloaded you too much. You're either thinking this is wonderful, or you might be thinking, hey, Liam, historical data is great, but what can you tell me about the future? And I'm glad you asked because we also have, last but not least, a couple of years ago, we put out the S&P Global Risk and Opportunity Forecast. And so this is now a piece that we release every 3 months quarterly. And in addition to kind of key supply chain country overviews, where we're looking at what's going on in Cambodia and China from a tariff and from a, what's going on over there politically, they also run demand models for us. And so they're able to take the Circana sell-through and the direct-to-consumer data that we have and predict bicycle sales out several years into the future. So we're able to continue to improve that as we get better and better data, and that becomes more and more accurate. And so there's a ton more. I'll certainly answer any questions at the end, but I'm going to kick it over now to Ms. Dr. Ash Lovell to take us away on navigating policy and trade.
Thank you, Liam. I was going to make that joke. I like Ms. Doctor. For those of you, it was good. For those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Ash Lovell. I'm the Vice President of Government Relations at People for Bikes. That means I oversee all of our bike business related policy and regulatory work at all levels of government, so federal, state, and local. And that means that I do a lot of trade work, which is probably important and interesting for your job. Before I dive into the policy nerdiness that I oversee, I just wanted to call out folks that might be interested in all of the policy work that People for Bikes does. If you're in compliance, we're doing this for you. If you're an engineer, come talk to us. If you're on the legal team and I don't know you yet, please reach out to me. We do a lot in the legal space. And if you do anything related to trade and tariff issues and we haven't met yet, I would love to talk to you because this is a really important time for the industry. And the more folks that we can have participating in these conversations with us as we navigate this challenging time, the better. The other thing that I do before I dive into trade and tariff and regulatory work is I oversee all of our subcommittees. So we have 11 different committees and working groups that we lead as part of your trade association. And that means that folks volunteer their time to sit on these committees and help us make decisions about the most pressing issues that are facing the industry today. So we've got Legal, Legislative, and Safety Committee. We've got Membership and Events and Marketing Committee. We've got Research and Stats Committee that Liam overviewed for us. We've got an e-bike committee. We have, if you have an interest, we have a committee for it. So please follow up with Mimi and let her know if you're interested in joining any of those. And we can drop in what all of those different committees are when we send you a follow-up email. So just wanted to start with that. If you're interested in getting more involved, definitely Ryan's going to give you some real tactical next steps for getting more involved. One of those can be joining one of our committees and really helping shape the future of what the industry looks like. Okay, so as I said before, we work at all levels of government, federal, state, local, international as well, but I'll keep us kind of on the federal, state, and local path for this conversation. Obviously, one of the biggest things that we're tackling right now has to do with trade and tariff. I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but just in case you weren't also aware, we also do a ton in the regulatory space. So the Consumer Product Safety Commission is the regulatory agency that oversees bicycles and electric bicycles. We are speaking with them monthly about a variety of different topics, whether it's battery safety, mechanical standards, CPSC e-filing. If any of those are sparking kind of something for you, please, again, reach out to me. We also work with all of the federal agencies that oversee land management. So the Department of Interior, the National Park Service, the Forest Service, the BLM, multiple others. So we're doing the really nerdy, intense work of getting regulations passed and defining what products are and keeping, bicycle sales, protected from regulatory oversight or bad legislation. And we're also building access for, Class 1 EMTBs on public federal lands, state lands, local municipalities. All of that is within the purview of my nerdy policy team. Okay, next slide, please. Back to trade and tariff. If you somehow have not heard about the environment that we're currently living in with trade and tariff, please consider checking out our People for Bikes tariff page. So again, we can send, I think Rod just dropped in the link for where you can find this page. This includes all of our latest updates on everything that's happening with every different piece of tariffs. So you probably heard from me or someone else about the Section 232 big push that we did a few weeks ago to push back against steel and aluminum tariffs. We will be hearing about whether we were successful with that within the next month. We've also got Section 301 tariffs that we're working on. We're really closely following the Supreme Court's decision on the reciprocal tariffs. All of this obviously really closely affects your business. And we want to make sure that you are as informed and up to date as possible on all of these emerging developments. So you will see frequent updates coming from the break about specific developments in tariff world. You can also check out our template letters to your members of Congress. It is really important to keep the pressure up on the administration to say, hey, these tariffs are really bad for American businesses, American retailers, American manufacturers. Please continue to help us push back. And we have so many resources to help make this easy for you. So again, please follow up with me if you want more engagement on this tariff topic. Next slide. Another big thing that People for Bikes does is we are your advocates. So we have multiple folks that are based in DC that are doing the on-the-ground work of pushing back against tariffs, but also promoting federal funding for infrastructure and many other kind of really high important topics. Lithium-ion battery safety, tons of things are happening in the legislative space in DC as well as the regulatory space. One of the things that we do for our members is we host fly-ins for executives from companies of all different sizes to speak to your representatives in person and advocate for the things that the bicycle industry needs. We usually do these about twice a year, and they're a really effective way to get out in front of these decision makers at the federal level. On top of that, we also work across all 50 states, which means we monitor hundreds and hundreds of bills every year, and we engage on hundreds of those bills. Some of them are related to bike business topics like the 3-class system, defining what is an electric bicycle. Others are, or what is an e-moto? If you haven't heard of what an e-moto is yet, call me. We've got lots to say on that topic. Also, we're working on infrastructure related, bond initiatives. We have this huge Vote for Bikes initiative that we do every year, which essentially just helps build more funding for better bike lanes across the country. This is billions of dollars every year. This was a down year, and we still had like $3 billion of new funding for bike lanes at the state and local level. So again, tons and tons of work happening in the advocacy space for you as our members, as well as for better biking across the country. If you want to get really nerdy, in the Member Center, we have our bi-monthly legislative and regulatory memos, where we will give you the full overview of everything that's happening in the tariff space, as well as everything that's happening at the state and local space in all the different areas, e-bikes, recreation, trade and tariff, regulatory compliance, it's all in there. So please make sure to visit the Member Center, and again, reach out to Mimi or me for any questions. And the last thing I'll talk about is product and sustainability compliance. This is obviously a really important piece for folks that work in compliance, for folks that work in sustainability. We have so many resources for you as your trade association. We have an owner's manual that is fully comprehensive that we've created on behalf of the industry, and it includes e-bike regulations as well as many other really essential pieces for you to be selling bicycles. This is a requirement. If you're going to sell bikes, you have to have an owner's manual. If you haven't talked to Mimi about this yet, again, please follow up with her. We also have a battery operating manual that's required in New York, which essentially makes it required kind of across the country. This came out in 2024. Again, essential if you're going to be selling bikes in New York State. We also have a sustainability working group, which our very talented Noah oversees, and that's part of our committee structure. So if you want to be part of the group that is crafting what the future of sustainability and compliance looks like, fabulous. And then finally, we have a Call to Recycle is doing our e-bike battery recycling campaign that's called Hungry for Batteries. That is something that the Sustainability Working Group launched a few years ago, and it's a really great way to make sure that you are in compliance with these impending battery recycling pieces of legislation that are going to come across multiple different states. So my job is not necessarily to scare you, it's to inform you. I know a lot of these topics are not necessarily fun, compliance, trade, tariff, but we have all the resources that you need to be successful. And this is really our job as your trade association, is to set you up for success. So these things that are displayed on the screen here are just a few of the resources and tools that we have available for you as our members. And if you want to just grab this off the Member Center, that's possible. If you want to talk about it and how to use it best, we're also super happy to walk you through how to best implement all of these resources that we offer. And now I think I'm going to hand it back to Ryan.
Thanks, Ash. So bringing everything back together, I would imagine if this is your first introduction to PeopleForBikes, you're probably thinking, holy smokes, you guys do a lot of cool stuff. And you'd be right in thinking that. But let's try and simplify it and bring everything back to a few key takeaways that you can implement right now to get more involved with PeopleForBikes work. One thing that I think we could start off the top is to join our industry newsletter, which is called The Break. The Break is sent out at least once a month. This year, I think we've sent out close to 25 versions because we've had so many breaking news moments to talk about tariffs and trade. But typically we have a once a month newsletter that encompasses all the verticals that we touch: infrastructure, policy, and participation. Also within that newsletter, we highlight new member resources. So anytime something's updated in the Member Center, like Liam was talking about the reports that his team puts out, those reports, as soon as they're news, they're going to go into the break and you'll be the first to hear about them. So you can consume that data right off the bat as soon as it's published, as soon as it's live. So join the break newsletter. Rod, if you have the link to drop into the chat, that would be great for folks to join. The second thing that we would encourage you to do is to become a Member Center champion. So the Member Center is the hub which you can log into as a paying coalition member. That hub is where a lot of this key information is housed. And we'd encourage you to make sure that your team, not just you, but anybody who could benefit from our resources is logged into the Member Center. So the Member Center, when you click login from the PeopleForBikes.org page, there is a spot there to register yourself if you've never logged in before. So you can click that and it'll have a drop down so you can select your organization and you can quickly register yourself and be logged in within 5 minutes. The Member Center, again, is a spot which is going to have all the most important information and resources for you and your team to use. So please log in there as much as possible and be a champion for your organization, making sure all your colleagues also have access and are logging in on a regular basis. Sharing our resources is a third call to action. Liam had mentioned we have all kinds of reports that come out throughout the year. Sending those reports around to colleagues who could benefit from the data that's housed within them is something that is an easy way for you to leverage your membership and make it more impactful to your organization. And then the fourth CTA here is to schedule a PFB onboarding meeting. If you feel that your team isn't fully utilizing your PeopleForBikes membership, we'd encourage you to schedule a meeting with our membership team. Mimi would be a great person to reach out to for that. It's just Mimi at PeopleForBikes.org. And you can get set up with a meeting in the new year or before the end of this year. This also is also acceptable. We are going to jump in now to the Q&A. So I saw several come in through the Q&A box. If you have a question that came up or came to mind, please feel free to drop it in there now. I'm going to open up our Q&A here and see what we got. The first one is it is dangerous speed up to 20 miles an hour throttle only under class 2 now. Only 25.
Ryan, I'll take this.
Yeah, thanks.
So I think these three questions all came from the same individual. Super happy to talk about the Model 3 class legislation that is now on the books in 46 states across the country. And we have 49 states that classify an electric bicycle as an e-bike instead of a motorized vehicle. Thank you for your perspective. And we have this 20-mile-an-hour piece is set by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, not by PeopleForBikes. So we are just aligning with what that federal definition is. Thanks.
Thanks, Ash. Liam, looks like you answered a question in the chat. Did you want to answer that publicly?
Yeah, for sure. The question was, are bike accessories and especially bike bags included in the retail sales reports? And so, yes, the Circana dashboard that we send out every month includes top-line categorical data. So you're able to see what we call on-bike packs, and there's several subcategories below that for panniers, seat post bags, etc. So yes, we do have it there. And that includes kind of what's sold at IBDs, at independent bike dealers, and what we call rest of market, or kind of the mass merchants. But for the direct-to-consumer sales and the used sales, we're only tracking bicycles right now. So in the future, for both of those, we hope to track P&A, but it's out of the scope currently, and you'll certainly hear from us when we expand that scope.
And Liam, while you're answering that, a new question came in about data. It's how granular can the data behind direct-to-consumer and used bike sales be shared?
Yeah, so I would encourage you to take a look at the Member Center, go in there and see kind of how we're sharing the monthly data in the Google Data Studio. And certainly if you have questions, I would love Maria to jump on a call and kind of be able to dig into it more.
Great. It looks like that's the end of our Q&A. There was a lot of information that was shared today, so there's a lot to process. If you do have questions after the fact that come up, or if you want to address something that was discussed today, feel free to reach out to any member of our team. If you go to peopleforbikes.org/team, you'll have all of our email addresses and our names and job descriptions, so you can reach out to the subject matter expert that best fits your question as well. If that's all the Q&A, then we want to say thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate your membership. If you're not yet currently a member, come join the coalition. We're excited about 2026. We're going to be dropping our 2026 work plan here shortly to show what we're going to be focusing our efforts on, and we're excited to continue moving the industry forward together. Thank you.